Well, hello everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Bald and the Beautiful. Wrong show. This is BuildingPoint webinar for Trimble Field Link, and we're focused today on advanced reporting as well as the Surface Module. So we're going to be taking a little bit deeper dive, going a little bit deeper into the technical aspects of things. So if for any reason you've got a question, please do fill those out. Populate those questions, and as per our normal, we'll try to answer those questions as we go along. So without any further ado, I'll do some quick introductions. I'm Corey Bell, the CEO and General Manager here at BuildingPoint Mid-America.
My name is Sean Thompson. I am the VDC Services Manager here as well.
And my name is Kevin Kaufman. I'm the Hardware Sales Manager for BuildingPoint Mid-America.
And my name is Bob Groen. I'm Hardware Sales Representative for the states of Missouri and Arkansas.
Very good, thank you. And Bob's one of our newer ones. So I'll do a quick course overview. We've got a lot we're going to talk about, so I'm going to shut up here in just a minute and let all the much smarter people than me talk. But just kind of going through a couple things, we're going to do some TFL version clarification, RTS system vision clarification, and then we're going to have two different live demonstrations. As you know, we've added Bob Groen to this mix as well. But the first one's going to be done by Sean, where he's going to walk through advanced reporting. So I know he's going to break down the reports, what the reports are, and then give you a live demonstration of those reports on a couple of projects. And then we've also got Bob, who's going to do a live demonstration of the Surface Module. He's going to walk through the setup, the settings, the process, and the reporting. And keep in mind, both of them are going through a whole lot of content really fast. So we know you're going to have follow-up questions. We anticipate that. At any point in time, if you want to take another dive or dive deep into those demonstrations, call us. Let us know. We'll be happy to spend a little bit of time with you, schedule another call like this one-on-one with you to take that deeper dive with you. And then Kevin's going to come on. He'll talk through tips and tricks, and then we'll do our typical question and answer period. So one thing I want to hit on here real quick, and we talked about this last week when we talked about the Trimble Field Link software. Just again, I want to point out, Sean's going to be talking about the reports. That's not in every version of Trimble Field Link. So the layout deviation report is going to be in all of them. However, if you're only in base or only in core, when Sean talks about the field report and the daily layout summary, that is a feature that's in the advanced feature pack software. So again, you can refer back to last week's webinar, but I do want to drive home the fact that not all these tools may be available to you. If it's not, please understand why. It's not that we don't like you or took anything away from you, just trying to make sure that you've got the latest and greatest information. Next slide that I want to talk through, and again, this was an attachment before, it's also an attachment with this webinar, is different RTS versions. So one of the reports that Sean's going to talk about, the field vision report, it's going to talk about vision. So the vision is the actual camera that's on the RTS. So as we look on the RTS head, it's shooting through here and giving you a camera view from that. Not all of them have that. However, this slide shows you it's in the RPT 600. It is included in the RTS 773, the RTS 873, and the RTS 771. So if by chance you have a 673 or a 573, you won't have that feature. So just please understand that as well. So with that, I'll hand this off to Sean, letting him start going through a lot of the technical parts and pieces. Sean, take it away.
Thank you, Corey. Good morning, afternoon, depending on where you're at in the world, and thank you again for joining us. On a personal note, I want to make a request to anyone before I get started here that any feedback you can provide for us. We're kind of doing these as free as we're going through the the times that we're in, and we're doing this to help educate you, and for a lot of reasons. But if there's an upcoming topic you would like to see or some feedback, we would love to get that. Please just email any of us directly, and we'll certainly apply and take your thoughts into consideration. So that's my personal spiel. So first off, we're going to go through a few slides here, then I'm going to switch to a live demo. But basically, the first slide here is Trimble Connect. We want to hit on this because our main way of keeping a connected world with all of our data and all of our files is to use a cloud-based service like Trimble Connect. Now, you can set up a free account. So those of you that are going to be in next week's session, please go to connect.trimble.com, sign up for a free account. Also put the app on your phone. Also put the app on your desktop, and it will help you go through what we're going to go through next week. But main thing I want to hit on here is that Trimble Connect will automatically download, upload things when you're connected to Wi-Fi. It also emails if you have the notifications set up properly to go to project stakeholders. And then again, I just want to remind you that next week we will take a deeper dive into the connected workflow in Trimble Connect. Next, we're going to go through each individual slide here of, hey, Corey, can you go forward? There you go. All right. So before we get into the reports, what I want to talk about is action buttons. A lot of people out there go around with their prism and get over their point, they mark it, and they move on. They don't actually stake that point, which is something Kevin's going to talk about more later today. But what we want to make sure is that we're following the appropriate actions and buttons so that we get the appropriate data out of it. If you're not staking them, you're not going to get it. But hitting on the preview first, you have to preview it to make sure that you're getting the appropriate information. This is common sense, after all. But to make sure you're getting the information that you want out of it. And then you'll have the option to save it out after you've previewed it. Again, if you're saving it on the Trimble Connect, it's going to, once you get back to Wi-Fi in the trailer, because you should be in airplane mode on a job site, once you get back to Wi-Fi, it's going to automatically sync and, go out to all those necessary people. Daily layout summary. So I'm going to break these down each individually about who their target market may or may not be. Again, don't get limited by my limitations. Share these with whoever you feel is appropriate. But daily layout summary. This is going to give you a kind of just a report of where you set up, how many points you laid out, what your first point was, what the XYZs were, how many points you laid out per hour, and all these things. This is extremely valuable information. Your CEO or CFO may be very interested in that. I guarantee you your estimating team is going to be interested in that, especially if you utilize things like the notes. The notes are going to be important so that you can say, hey, on this day, I had to spend 3 hours, sweeping the floor, sweeping the deck, or if it was in ditches and for plumbing depth, we may want to add those. And this will also start driving you to identifying your staff in-house of who's your layout cowboy from underground. Maybe, your lady that does the metal decking is your stud. Your young apprentice that loves 3D video games, loves doing surface modules, whatever it is, okay? You're going to find out who's better at what by utilizing these summaries. So I just want to hit again, be sure you put in them notes whenever you generate this report because they can tell you things later. And heaven forbid you're in litigation later, those daily summary reports are going to put you in a better position, okay? So the deviation report, this is the next one. Who would this type of person go to? This may go to a BIM manager type. This may go to a BIM operator, CAD, VDC coordinator. May also go to your prefabrication team. Maybe anchor bolt is moved or is rotated a little bit, something like that. You want to send that information back to those stakeholders. Give them the point name and number, where it is, what the layer is on, what its designed XYZ coordinate system was, and then what its delta XYZ and horizontal is. And that delta is going to give you that deviation. I'll also point out at this slide here that if you use a program like Trimble Field Points, when you bring that deviation back into your AutoCAD or Revit model, we can say, hey, all of them that are 3/8 of an inch out, let's put a revision cloud around that. And that revision cloud then highlights them. So those of you that do mechanical, electrical, even foundations, that maybe you have hundreds or thousands of points in one particular file, and you're looking for the 25 that were laid out of tolerance, right? It's going to be very difficult for you to go one by one and find all those unless you somehow highlight them. So that's a good advantage of Trimble Field Point is to automatically revision cloud those for you. The next report is field reports. So this is a condition you want to convey to someone, okay? Whether it's through the pictures or images on the tablet, you can take through the vision if your robotic head has the vision, or the tablet, which has a camera on it as well. We can also pull pictures from our tablet or our computers and apply them as well. But you're taking a picture of something. It's a shot, an XYZ location of it, and then you adding notes to explain whatever that issue is required, okay? Workflow. All of you have seen this that have been on our webinars the last few weeks. So, I like to start here before I go live. But I just want to show you where we're at today and what we're doing. Obviously, if we start in the top left with our coordinated federated model, some authorizing tools have point systems and layout capability. Or if you don't, we're going to go to a Trimble Field Point or Trimble Field Link office and prepare that data. Okay, from there, we will kick it out via Trimble Connect or another method to the tablet, which can go out to the field for layout or collecting data or doing surface modules like we're going to show you today. And then in the bottom middle is our as-built information, okay? That is going to be what we're focusing on, what I'm focusing on today with reporting, okay? So that's a field report example there, which I'll show you here in just a minute. And then our Trimble Connect symbol down here on the bottom left to show our connected workflow. Again, we're going to do more with the connected workflow next week, but I'd like to start here to show where we're at in the general work. Here we are. We have our project out at Trimble headquarters in Westminster, Colorado, and we have a few points in here that have been laid out. So I'm going to come over to the More tab, okay? Go down to the Reports area, okay? And I'm just going to start top to bottom here and go to Daily Layout Summary. Okay. So the first thing it's prompting me to do to get to the daily layout summary is I need to pick a date of layout. This is only going to allow me to do one day at a time. Okay. So this particular one, it looks like was laid out on Thursday, March 16th of 2020. Okay. Notice in the bottom here, I have a preview that is an active button, but I have a save that is grayed out. So when I was referring to earlier, you have to go to the preview step to go to the save step. Okay. I'm also going to show you in the destination where I can save this. Now, I'm saving all these locally today because I want to save the connected workflow stuff for next week, and I want to open those up and show you real quick. But I could do it off the cloud. I'm just showing you locally today, okay? So we're saving locally to where our documents, Trimble Field Link. There's a reports folder there. We will dump these into, okay? I'm going to go ahead and add a note here of something. Floor was wet. Oops. Had to sweep floor. Labor 3 hours. Okay. So now this is important information for someone that is analyzing this data. Hey, today you only laid out 50 points. You know, what was the situation, right? Okay, so you know it rained the night before. We don't have rain meters tied in and water over the floor, so we had to spend some time squeegeeing and sweeping the floor so we could physically mark those points. So that information can be very important to you later. So I highly encourage you to fill out the notes part there. Okay. So now I'm going to come down here, hit the preview. It's going to generate me a preview here real quick. Okay. And I'm going to zoom in here by using my control button and scroll on my mouse. And I'll just kind of go through some of the data here. Okay. Daily layout summary. When did I generate this report? Which is right now. Okay. What was the date of layout? Looks like I got picked wrong, but whatever. Okay. And the job name. Okay. The notes that I put in there. So now you're starting to see these notes pop up. The floor is wet. Have sleep for labor 3 hours. That can also, you know, that note then tells me that I can maybe bill someone for 3 hours for a laborer I had to clean up the floor to do layout because that was the day I was told I had to do it, right? So that can protect you as well. So let's look at layout session 1. The setup time. The setup was over a known point. It was a poor quality. So we have some questions about this example, why we're allowing a poor setup, but whatever, it's just an example. So it gives me what control point I used, what my computed distance was, what the XYZs were, as well as the instrument location of XYZ, and what was the first point I laid out, what was the last point I laid out, and the time at which I did so. Number of points laid out, 6 points in 2 minutes, so this lady or gentleman was flat flying at 180 per hour, as you can imagine, okay? So session 2, we get into a little bit more realistic, right? Setup 2 gives us the same information, known excellent. We like the excellent here. A measured distance opposed to the computed distance, which was right on, okay? What our first laid out point was, what our last laid out point was, and then we laid out number of points, 11 points in 12 minutes. Which is a 55 per hour, which is probably more reasonable, right? So summary is we did a total of 17 points. It took 14 minutes, and points laid out per hour was an average of 73. Okay, so 88% of them were in horizontal tolerance. 100% of them were in vertical tolerance. Okay, and obviously the note of inactivity of 15 minutes or greater is excludes from the total layout time. So it's important for whoever's analyzing this data to know that tidbit. Okay. So then we get a little bit of a report here that shows us kind of the point name, what setup applied to that point, the descriptions of the points were, what is delta horizontal was, and what is delta vertical was. Okay. At this point in time, I'm going to hit, let me change the name of this, that's fine, 416, okay. And come down here and hit save. Okay. Let's just save that report. So that's it for the daily layout report, right? I come to more reports, okay, layout deviations, okay. Now this one gives us less options, okay. This kind of pops up and says, here's all the points you staked, here's your deviations, okay. So gives me the layout deviation report, gives me the job name, gives me the date and time that I have created this report. Again, point name, description, layer, what its designed XYZ location was, and then what its delta state location was. Okay, so it's telling you that I was 0 off horizontally, 0 off X. Okay, and then 0 feet is 8 foot 7 7/8 inches. Okay, okay. So if I hit save on this one, I'm gonna go out to the same thing. Okay, saves. Okay. Next report is our field report. Okay. Again, I'm going to call this there's field. Okay. Notes. Notes. I'm not going to put anything in here, but if you want to add a note, I could. Right. So basically, what this is doing is reporting a field condition. Okay. So I'm going to come in here and just pick because I don't know if you guys know this or not, but GoToMeetings and GoToWebinars actually disable your camera, so I can't hit the camera button up here right now and take a picture for you, but I would like to. So I'm just going to pull some photos for marketing. Throw this bad boy in here. Okay, whoops, wrong one. Okay. Okay. Let me go back to here again. Okay, so I'm just going to pick this photo for management. I'm going to come down here in the bottom right and hit this plus symbol. I accidentally hit the preview button first, so hit the plus symbol. If I want to add multiple pictures, I can go ahead and add that. Okay. The location. Notice earlier I said it would give you a location of XYZ if it was measured. This isn't measured yet. I'm not actually hooked up to a robot, but we could get the location here as well. Okay. A lot of information can be thrown in here. So if I hit preview, okay, I get the preview of the field report, what the date, the time, the project name was, the photos, okay, and what they are. All right. That's pretty much it for the report. So I'll do the service report. I'll hand over to Bob. One thing I want to point out to everybody here is that I have another button in my Trimble Field Link here called Scan. So those of you that have never done any laser scanning or want to learn about it, we're going to be doing something really soon with that. So I just want to show you that I am using a scan module in here, and that it does plug into Trimble Field Link and kind of similar workflow to the other thing. So if you want to learn about laser scanning moving forward, please come back for those sessions that are coming up. With that, Bob, take it away.
Thanks, Sean. So the TFL, the Trimble Field Link Surface Module, we're going to define our high and low areas on horizontal surfaces, or we can measure the ins and outs on a vertical surface. So one of the things that we're going to do is we need to define the surface first that we're going to do. And then once the robot has taken all those measurements, it'll give you the highs and lows or the contours based on a reference elevation that you put in. So later on, you can go and let's say you've got some high points that you need to cut down. You can lay out those points, and we can then just cut those points down at that point. All right. So here we've got a video that we're going to explain to you real quick. Okay. So on the left here, we have what is called our virtual layout guy, and we're going to show you what's going on. So right now we're switching out of prism mode, and we're going to laser mode at this point. Now, what you're going to see is that the screen on the right is going to change. We're going to go to our reference. No, we're not going to our reference elevation, excuse me. We're going to actually show how we move the laser down to the deck itself. Okay, so that's what's happening right now. And once we get down to the deck, we're going to have to fine tune it to put it on the top of what it is that we want to use as the reference elevation. All right, so now we're going to hit the reference elevation. We're going to put it in as 0 for this demonstration, and we're going to measure it. We'll hit the measure button here. The laser will go out. It will take that measurement as 0, and we can either remeasure it if we don't like what it's saying, or we can clear it out. Okay, so from now we will go to our surfaces module. And we're going to, we don't have anything selected yet. We're going to actually create a job, if you will. So we go over here to the right to that window pane, and we add the name, which is Surface 1. We're also going to do a horizontal. We're going to put it on our surface layer. Okay, so we can put this on any layer we want. We'll hit Add. And then we are going to have to define what we're actually measuring. So we'll take this box and we're going to move those over. And now anytime you want, you don't have to do an exact box. You could make this have an octagon or whatever, and what you would do is just tap on one of those lines in between the diamonds, and it'll create another point. So like I said, you could make an octagon if you want. You can make any kind of shape you want. But for this one, we're just going to make this nice and easy. We're going to scroll in here and show you the surface. We're going to square this up real quick and get a real defined area here. Okay, so we've decided where we're going to go, and now we need to decide how many points we want, or the spacing. You can flip that with that little arrow. We're just going to do 1 foot spacing on this. Okay, we'll go down to our pen and paper now, and we'll get out of that. And then we're going to hit automatic over on the right, and it's going to tell us how many points we have, which will be 105. We're going to hit start now. And as you can see over on the left, we're going to kind of change the view so we can show you what it looks like as far as what the robot's doing. So that red line that you see right there that the cursor is on is actually symbolizing the laser itself. So we're going to change the view. There we go. You can see it a little bit better here. All right. So we're now, in just a second, we're going to hit start. And this has been sped up for you guys. So once it actually starts moving, it'll ask you to measure again. Just hit continue because we've already set that reference elevation. It just needs to know where you're shooting. So now it's actually shooting, and you'll see it kind of moving back and forth. And then it moves very quickly. In real time, it takes anywhere for 6 to 7 seconds per shot. Okay. But the cool thing is that the laser does it all on its own. You don't have to go out there with a prism. You can do it with a prism. It's just not as easy as setting up the robot and letting it do its own thing. Excuse me. So at this point, it's almost done. There we go. We've completed it now. And we see that it measured 105 points out of the 105. Every so often, if there's something in the way, it will skip it, okay? Now, we're showing you the highs and lows and what is in tolerance. Now we're actually going to set what our tolerance is. So our elevation is 0 feet, and we're going to put in a 1/16 of an inch tolerance. We'll go back down to the pen and paper. It's going to do its thing. Now you can see in that upper right-hand corner that everything inside that red is considered high. Everything in the green is considered within the tolerance, okay? So now we're going to go to our surface report. And we're going to hit the collected part of it here in just a second. There we go. Then we're going to go to our pen and paper. Yes, this is a surface report that we want. Here is the destination that we can take it to. Right now, we're going to keep it on the tablet itself. But if we want, we can take it over to the cloud or to a thumb drive. All right. Now we're going to go and preview the report itself. And just like some of the other reports that we've just looked at, it's going to tell us when we set it up, the total points of what we were going to shoot. It's actually telling us how many are within tolerance and how many are high. Okay, and then it gives us a map down here at the bottom. So we'll go ahead and save that. We actually had already had another one. We're just overriding it at this point. So no big deal. So we're going to save that. Now, here's the actual report again. And then at this point, where does that go? So we're going to go out to our window screen. We're going to go to our jobs file. Then we're going to go to our Trimble Field Link file. And then we're going to go to reports under that, then surface reports. This is where you'll actually export things from or send them wherever you need to do that. Now, this CSV file is showing actually which points are high or low and that sort of thing. So again, you can go back afterwards, load this stuff up into your robot or into your tablet, and you can go back and shoot all those points that are higher, lower, not within tolerance, and you'll be able to fix those situations or fix the problems on that particular surface at that time. All right. Give us a second here, guys. We're going to move to the next slide here.
Oh, that's great, Bob. If I can interject for a second, I forgot to go and open them folders where all that stuff was and show those reports. So it's great that your video did that. So those of you that were paying attention earlier, when Bob went into the report folder, that's where you're going to get to all your daily layout, summary, and your deviations as well. Thanks, Bob. I'm done.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. So TFL versions and module and the surface module, which we just went over, I think is a bargain for what it does. It's only $500. Now, the nice thing about this is we can add these to your tablets just by going through the Trimble Installation Manager. So we don't need to physically grab your tablet or anything else. This can all be done remotely. Now, the software support and maintenance, the SSM, that applies. It's a yearly cost to keep and maintain your updates on all your TFL versions and modules and that sort of thing. Okay. So at this point, I'm going to turn this over to Kevin. I think he's going to go over some other tips and tricks and some other things for you. Take it away, Kevin.
All right. So thank you, Bob. You did a good job on that. And guys, we can always come out and show you how that stuff works on the job site if you'd like. We're going to bump in here now and just kind of discuss briefly that Kenai TradeIn Program. Trimble is offering this TradeIn Program right now. So the Kenai is, as they say, is being sunsetted, if you want to call it that. But along those lines, they're offering the trade-up program where you can get into the T10 with that Kenai tablet at a discount. Okay, so you get into the T10 tablet. This slide is basically explaining what those savings that you're going to see are going to be if you're using this program. And what we understand is that the robotic total station head that you're used to seeing on the job site, that thing has been around for probably 10, 12 years now. It is somewhat like what I would consider Trimble's a staple for Trimble, okay? And so what you're going to see on that is you're going to see a firmware update or maybe a feature update or something like that. But with regards to the technology like the tablets, if you've been around for a while, then you've seen the Nomad, and then we advanced into the Yumas and into the Panasonic and the Kenai tablets, and now we're at the T10. So what happens is, as that technology and the ability of this technology keeps advancing, Trimble wants to stay up to date on that as well. So they've come out with the T10 tablet. You're going to see a much faster processor, more storage capacity. It still has the durability of our other tablets. Got the larger screen size and everything there still. So it's a lighter weight tablet. So it's a good fit. We've gotten really good feedback on it. It's been a very popular thing. So without going into the details of what the savings are, we're going to have a handout over there that's available for you and your flyers there. So just reach out to your sales guy and he can explain more about that. Okay. And then we bounce into the tips and tricks every week. We like to talk about this, just kind of hit on a little bit. Sean hit on this a little bit as well. So, guys, if you've had training with us, then you know that we beat the drum on staking your points. A lot of our customers we found will go out there and it's like, man, I just want to get this point laid out. I'm not worried about that. That's not how we do it. Okay, well, if you want to get the full benefit and actually any kind of benefit from the reporting features that Bob and Sean talked about today, you need to take that shot. The little right up in the right corner, you got the little asterisk, the little star there. Hit that button. If it's like, oh man, it takes 3 or 4 seconds, there is a setting in there where you can go in and turn that on so you have the 1 second shot. So if you go to measure and go down to settings, you'll see that you've got a high precision shot and then you've got a fast precision shot. It's still going to keep you within the spec of that instrument. Go up there and select fast precision, 1 second shot, you're stored, and now you're ready to go out there and generate those reports. With regards to the reports, also, Sean went into great detail on those reports. One thing I'd like to add on the layout deviations report, that is a daily report. I would suggest you go on there and just automatically, you saw how quick it came up, hit generate report, save, and then maybe once a week going into that folder and pulling them out and storing them somewhere else. But that is the layout deviations is a daily report that pops out and it's generated on that day that you lay out. So capture that when you can. Now the daily layout report is going to give you a lot of the similar information, just a little more granular on the layout deviations report, okay? And as we talked about briefly earlier, if you're using like Trimble Field Points and some of the authoring softwares, you can take Trimble Field Points and export that data to the field. You can then bring that data back in. When you bring it back in, you're going to set your tolerances inside Trimble Field Points to say, hey, show me everything that's outside of 1/8 of an inch of what my tolerance is. And as Sean talked about, it's going to draw that revision flag for you, bring it right to the forefront of your attention so you can give that your attention instead of hunting and pecking through those 5,000 points and looking specifically for something that's out of tolerance. It's going to do that for you. So just something to kind of be aware of. Define your surface area. When we talk about defining our surface area, we're talking about managing what you're doing. So again, Bob did a great job showing how that works, measuring that surface out there right in the surfaces module. But what we need to understand is that if we've got us a 1 million square foot warehouse, we want to manage how we go about doing that pour. So if there's an area of a concern, what I would recommend is you start a little bit larger with your initial shot and maybe spread those points out. When you get a defined area that you got your most concern with, maybe there's a high or a low area, a little duck pond there, you can zero that in, tighten your fence up. That's what that's called, your little panel there. You tighten your fence up a little more, maybe get your shots a little closer together, instead of having them maybe a foot or 2 foot apart on the large shot, you can come down to now 5 or 6 inches or something and get zeroed in on where those highs and lows are. So just manage that area, manage the spacing as well, like I'm talking about between those points. That's going to help you out quite a bit. And that doesn't matter if you're talking about on the horizontal or the vertical plane. On the vertical plane, we always recommend trying to stay square with the face, okay? So trying to stay perpendicular to that face that you're shooting on the vertical plane. It obviously doesn't matter as much when you're doing a horizontal or you're doing the floor or the ceiling, but if you're doing a vertical, we want to stay square with that face so it's not shooting at a weird angle trying to take those measurements for you. That's just a little tip that we figured out. And we've gone over this a few times, but it bears mentioning one more time, the file locations on the tablets. If you go into your Explorer folder down at the bottom there and hit that, it takes you to My Documents. You will look in there and you're going to see Trimble Field Link folder right there. You double tap that thing with your fat finger if you're like me, double tap it on there and it's going to open up. You're going to see your exports folder. You're going to see your jobs folder. You're going to see your reports folder, those things in there. So if you go in your reports folder, you're going to see the breakdown of all the different reports in there. So that's where you're going to find out all that information for everything that we discussed today. Then we'd like to bump in again and kind of plug the old other resources slide we like to hit on every week. VP Mid-America, we've got some good information out on our website that we're sharing. We're updating that pretty frequently, so make that a useful resource for you. Put that in your favorites and bump out there and check out what we've got on there, okay? Also, contact information on that website. You can also go to learn.trimble.com. If your users are not on this call today, put them on to learn.trimble.com so they can go over there, create their own little profile, and then they can go in there virtually free. I believe everything your guys are going to want is going to come to you free. So they can go in there and watch videos and things like that. When the wife's sitting there watching some show about yes to the dress and all that stuff, you can go to learn.trimble.com and check out the videos we've got, okay? YouTube, we're on BuildingPoint Mid-America out there. So we've got our own channel. We're uploading useful videos in there on things like maintenance of your bipod, things that you can do with the tripod or whatever, different little maintenance videos that help you get a little more longevity out of your tools, okay? So that, as well as some of these training videos and things are out there. So we've heard you. You've said, hey, we want access online someplace where we can go and do little refreshers if we need to remind ourselves how to do certain things. There's your option right there, BuildingPoint Mid-America's YouTube channel. Schedule an on-site training with BPMA Trimble certified trainers. Now, obviously, in the environment we're in right now, it's kind of hard to get on site with a lot of our customers, right? So we can do that virtually. We can get online, and you've seen our virtual layout assistant that we've used here. So we can get online with you guys and get you up and running so that you're not wasting time not being able to use your tools effectively. And then if we need to follow up with an on-site meeting, we can obviously do that as well. We'll work that out with you, but get a hold of us. Trimble Field Link User Guide. So many people forget about this PDF being on the tablet surface. So just double tap that thing. You do not have to be on the internet. Open it up and scan down through there until you find what you're looking for. Virtually everything that's inside that software is going to be on that user guide. Buildings.trimble.com. There's some useful links and some useful videos on that site as well. And then you feel free to follow us on LinkedIn. We're on BuildingPoint Mid-America. Find us. We're always plugging different things that Trimble comes out with or sharing different videos that are useful for our users. There it is, BuildingPoint Mid-America. Okay. Again, I'm Kevin Coughlin. I'm the hardware sales manager. I'm primarily responsible for Kentucky and Tennessee right now. That's the territory that we're dealing with. Then you got Mr. Bob Grown up on the screen there. He joins us this week, and he manages Missouri and Arkansas, does a great job. We pride ourselves, guys, on being customer-friendly and responsive. So we've got Mr. Charlie Kim. He's the cowboy out in the Midwest there, out far west. He handles Nebraska and Kansas. So, again, we're all very responsive. Text us, email us, call us, whatever. If we can't get to you one way, we will get to you another. If we don't know the answer to your question, we got $1 billion company behind us. Somebody's going to know the answer to your question. By the way, if you're joining us and you're outside of our territory, we love having you. We're going to put you in contact with the person that you need to be in contact with if we haven't answered your question here. So don't hesitate to reach out to us. With that, I'll turn it back over to Mr. Corey.
Very good. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Sean. Very good job today. And also, so you guys know, we brought Bob in to change it up a little bit. Plus, Bob has got a little more experience with the Surface Module than any of us. Sean, we had a couple of questions that came in there while we were talking. The first one was for Sean, and that was with regard to TFP revision clouds. I know you guys kind of hit on it a little bit. The question was, when I bring that into TFP, how does it show my revisions, and does it create a new point?
Say that again. Let me make sure I understood that correctly.
So the first question was, when I bring my information from the field back in, how does it identify variations or deviations, as well as does it create a new point? So if I had a design point here and my actual point was here, does it create a new point to contradict the other?
It does not create a new point unless you renumber it, okay? And then I'm going to say it's going to provide the data on the way you export it. You have the option of selecting design location or collected location. So you have to tell it what information you're exporting out. That's going to drive the deviations in what the report is showing you. The revision cloud settings are set up in Trimble Field Point to where you basically go in and say anything outside of 3/8 inch I want clouded with a rainbow cloud or whatever the clouds are. You've got different patterns to choose from to have it highlighted. I have them do just a regular revision cloud that's bright red basically, and it pops them up to me so I can see them real quick. So does that answer your question? You think so?
Yeah, it does. It does. Thank you, Sean. So the next question, also for Sean, is with regard to, you referenced bringing the points back in and the modifications. So we talked about the Surface Module and things like that. Are there other examples that you've used in your past experience that you might go collect data and bring that back and compare that to your model before you final fab something to bring that back in?
Absolutely. I mean, it's just a points list. So depending on your points, depending on what you're using for point creation, you could then import them back in. I would use an example as anchor bolts to as-built location those, adjust your fabrication or something like that. Hopefully that's what you were getting at there.
Yeah, it does. I'd also add in another one that we often talk about is flanges for pipes, for jockey pumps and things like that, just the clocking of those, being able to record that data and verify that with your model. What I mean by that, for those that don't know, is as you clock that flange, everybody does it a certain way where, you know, top dead center bolt is at high noon. Others might want it at 1 or 2 o'clock. So just understanding what that is and what you're recording as well. So that's just another use for that. So being able to bring that in, verify that, compare it to your record model. Another thing that Sean hit on that I want to hit again is creating an as-built model. This is how you do it. You bring in that actual data of layout and where you put things in the real world and compare that back to the model, and that allows your VDC team to make modifications within the model. And keep in mind, it doesn't automatically move components in your model. The VDC person has to grab that component and move it to its desired location, or actual location, if you will. So another question that came in here, and this is going to be, I'm going to kind of throw this out to the field for whomever might know. This comes from Matt Fike. Matt, this is an awesome question. I can tell you, if they don't have an answer, I'm going to get you one. The question is, can you upload a .xml surface file that is not a flat surface and still use the surface module? So I believe, Matt, what you're talking about is an XFL is the topography map showing what all your deviations and variations are for topography. So it's comparing model to model and being able to compare that to your surface module. I don't know the answer. I don't know if anybody in the panel does, but we'll check on that and see if we can. I don't know that any of us have done that yet. However, I don't see why we couldn't, because an XFL XML is really just a model point. But go ahead, Sean.
My only question is, what are we trying to accomplish with this? So I have a follow-up question. What are we trying to accomplish? Are we laying this out, or are we collecting this? Which is going to take us to do different things. Okay, if we're laying this out, we're going to go to the plane layout that we covered in our last seminar. If we're going to be collecting this data as a surface, then we need to do it in the surface module.
Very good. All right, good. Well, that also, that answer kind of gets back to a question that came in that I was going to field for Bob, and that was, you talked about the surface module. Is the surface module able to be used for layout, or is that more for collecting data to find out what that surface is like and actually bringing that back in?
It's a good question. It's more for collecting data and verifying what you have. Now, as we said in the demonstration there, that once you have that information, then you can go back out and you know where your problem is. So if your surface is high, then we can cut that down at that point. You would lay out those points to actually say, okay, this is where I need to bring this down to the correct level.
Very good. And again, I'll add, Bob hit this, but his example that he provided was really talking, it was showing a metal deck, but it was kind of imposing that we were going to be placing concrete or had already placed concrete. And he talked a little bit about being able to see the highs and low spots of that concrete, and just understand anyone who's been on a job that's had to add a Elasticell or a lightweight fill, or had to bring a grinder out after the concrete's hardened. This is trying to do that using the laser while the concrete's still workable. So you can still get out there with the screed. You can knock down your highs and your lows while the concrete's still workable. Makes it just a touch cheaper than grinding or paying for lightweight fill.
And guys, I'll kind of plug in there too. Remember, you can do it manually, but the laser mode is awesome. The way it works, it's very effective. Pops right to your high points, and you can just mark them and hit the next, and it's going to pop right to your next point. Very effective.
That's a really good point, Kevin.
Awesome. So that's all of our questions. Matt, I want you to know I'll be sending an email connecting you and I and Sean so we can kind of talk through this a little bit, because we want to troubleshoot that with you to hopefully answer your question and create a solution for you. So Matt, I'll be reaching out to you here in just the next few minutes. I also did want to point out a couple more things here. One of which is, at the end of this webinar, we do have a survey that's going to pop up to you. So much like what Sean asked about, like what can we do a little bit better, we've got more webinars planned for the month of May. Obviously, our next one is what I'm showing here, which is the Trimble Connected workflow that we're really excited about. only because we don't think that everybody knows about it, and we think it can drastically change the way you do business and make you better at it. But we're looking at bringing in other webinars, one of which might be reviewing the X7 scanner and some of our latest and greatest tools and the workflow with those. But I also do want to point out, for those of you that don't know, we do rent equipment as well as sell equipment. So as we come out of this weird pandemic that we've all been in, and the economy has tanked like it has, just keep in mind, it's not going to be as easy for everybody to just jump out and buy new equipment or do upgrades. As Kevin kind of hit, we've got lease options and things like that. I just want to drive home, we also rent equipment. So in a pinch, let us know. And we do have rental equipment available. We are still working, and our service center is also still open. So as things arise, problems come up, please let us know. We're here to solve those for you. Go ahead, Bob.
Just to dovetail into that also, we can also finance equipment as well. So just keep that in mind. If things are tight, you know you want to buy it, you don't want to lease it or rent it, we can also arrange for financing for you as well.
Very good. Thank you. All right, so without any further ado, we're going to close out of this one and let you all finish your lunches. Again, I appreciate everybody's time. Thank you for coming out. Stay safe out there, work safe, and holler at us with any questions. Sean, do you have something to add? All right.
Waving goodbye. Thank you.
Very good. All right, well, again, thank you guys all for your time. We appreciate it. Monday, we'll have the notes and the video of this uploaded. We appreciate you all coming out, and we're grateful to have you guys here with us. Thank you very much, and have a nice day.
Stay safe, guys. Thank you.